Welcome to the Perfect Pairing Podcast. This week's cigar of the week is the GTO Corona Connecticut Toro.
But before we get to that, if you guys don't already know us, my name is Chris, and I am the whiskey expert and the cigar noob.
And my name's Adam, and I am the cigar expert, but the whiskey noob.
And as Adam mentioned, today we are looking for the perfect pairing for this GTO Corona Connecticut Toro. All right, I remembered it. I wasn't sure I was going to.
Yeah, in case anyone out there is curious, we were talking about this off camera with Chris. Corona is a size, but it is the type of, this is the name of this cigar. It's not, the Toro is the size. Corona, GTO Corona is the line from GTO. So
Okay.
if you're confused, you can blame Oscar Rodriguez, but he's been doing this for he's fourth generation. They've been doing this for a long time. So maybe we're wrong, he's right. Who knows?
Sounds about like it. Now, is this also, it looks like it says 10th anniversary on here, too? Am I right? Or it just
Yeah,
says
yep,
10
10
años.
años.
Okay.
Yep. So 10th anniversary. I'm not sure exactly when this came out, but the cigar is from the Dominican Republic, um, where the whole GTO line originated from. Like Oscar Rodriguez was born in the Dominican, and now, like, if you guys don't remember, this is the second cigar we've had
Mm-hmm.
from GTO. So first one was the La Cura, which means the cure, because Oscar Rodriguez, he is a doctor. So in case all of you out there are like, man, cigars, they're terrible for you, you can talk to Oscar. Not as bad as you may think. But I'm
Mm-hmm.
not a doctor, so I'm not going to give you advice, and that's my disclaimer.
Yeah, yeah. I was a fan of the Lacura too, which is obviously total other end of the spectrum from this. So I'm really excited to try this because you kind of get both sides of it.
Yeah. That one, in case you guys didn't see it, it was a heavy Maduro. Well, it looked like a heavy Maduro. It actually smoked a little lighter than we were anticipating. But, anyways, let's get on to the trivia question this week. We got a cigar question, and I was just doing a cold draw on this cigar to see if it was going to make sense with this one. It doesn't, but that's okay. I'll tell you anyways. Um, the question this week is, what is a draw enhancer? So that I'm just going to leave it very open-ended. I gave you a little bit of a hint with the whole cold draw, but what is a draw enhancer? Um, and obviously you know what it does. Crickets. But yeah, what is a draw enhancer? What does it look like? What is it? Why do you need it? I'm going to go ahead and let my cigar.
All right. This is one that I actually know the answer to for once. So that's pretty awesome. Although I will say the name is vague enough that I'd be pretty confused. I think you, to some extent, you get what it does, but like how it does it would be pretty confusing. I could see some folks being stumped by this. Now, while you're lighting up, I'm going to jump into what we are pairing with today because I'm very, very excited.
This
So
is
today,
diverse.
we have like a really diverse lineup today. So hopefully something sticks. Whenever they're all this different, I'm like, hopefully one of these is in the realm and I didn't just totally miss it. But what we've got that I'm especially excited for today is some good old fashioned cream soda. For those who have been listening to Whiskey Noobs podcast back when I was still making that regularly, uh, you know, I've been asked multiple times, what's your favorite non-alcoholic drink? And usually my answer is cream soda. I've been drinking it since I was young. Big fan of cream soda. And I almost never get to drink non-diet cream soda because if I'm buying it for myself, I just buy diet. But for pairing with a cigar, I was like, I'm getting the real deal. I'm getting the A&W normal cream soda, and I'm going to enjoy it.
Hell yeah. Yeah, I'm excited. I've only ever paired cream soda with Cuban cigars, so I'm assuming it'll also pair well here today. Um, but it's one of those ones that is a non-alcoholic that we always hear about, kind of in the cigar world. That I mean, with how creamy it is and how sugary it is, it's hard to miss. I feel like so. Yeah, I'm intrigued. I'm gonna go ahead and crack mine open.
All right, you go for that. I'm going to jump in with my whiskey noob, or I guess cigar noob review. Once again, I'm newer to cigars, and so I'm just putting out there what I'm tasting a few puffs in, especially for you guys who are also newer to cigars, to let you know you can say crazy stuff. You can throw whatever you want out there, and nobody's gonna bite your head off. So today for this GTO Corona Connecticut Toro, immediately I am getting the vibe of a wheated bourbon that is low proof and just has a ton of flavor. What do I mean by that? I mean that it's not harsh, it's not spicy, there's nothing aggressive, but boy does it fill your mouth with flavor. Like you right away you notice all the flavor from it. So body in the sense that there's a lot of flavor, not body in the sense that it's going to burn or it's going to have too much punch or anything like that. So, like a couple puffs in, I'm loving how much flavor I'm getting from it. Sometimes with lighter cigars, I feel like I'm really having to work to taste it. I'm not so much with this one. And then to throw a couple of notes out there, this is definitely a lighter cigar. Right off the bat, it's reminding me of a light wood, like maybe a light cedar, something like that. And there's something else I haven't nailed down yet, so I don't want to say it yet. I'm going to take a couple more puffs and I'll come back with the notes before I jump into my pairing.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're pretty spot on that one. Originally, right when I lit it up, I was feeling a little spice, but I think it was heat. It did take a second to get it fully lit all the way around the foot, but I mean, the burn line is already holding, and I can tell this ash is about to be phenomenal. Um, but on the flavor, yeah, I was definitely getting a light wood. Um, I think the thing that may be missing in there is I I think there's a hay note, but it's subtle at the end. Like
Mm-hmm.
it's and that's the thing I think a lot of people want. Like, we're in the process of trying to blend a light cigar for one of the lines that we're working on, and it is tough. Like trying to find something that doesn't taste like nothing,
Mm-hmm.
but is also light. Like that is a super difficult thing, and I think this is a great example of a cigar that accomplishes that feat and being light enough to where obviously a new cigar smoker is gonna be able to. This is super approachable. They're gonna be able to smoke this
Yeah.
and enjoy it and not feel like, oh my gosh, this is overwhelming. It's a great beginner cigar, but at the same time, like people who are cigar aficionados, they've been smoking for a long time, whatever, they're going to be able to appreciate it because it's got nuances, it's got little like hints of flavor that is going to leave you curious to keep smoking, which is what I
Mm-hmm.
think a lot of like it's when I smoke a Connecticut, that's what I look for. Like I want you to keep me interested. I want you
Mm-hmm.
like I want to be like I can't really figure you out because it's so subtle, but I like it because one, I was probably if I'm smoking in a Connecticut, probably wanting a Connecticut and
Mm-hmm.
searching for some sort of easy experience but still interesting. So I think
And I
so
think
far
that's
it's nailed it.
Yeah, and I think that's what makes it such a good beginner cigar is that it's super approachable but not boring. Because if you get too boring, some people, especially who are a little bit more experienced, they like extremely subtle flavor, extremely mellow. But if you're newer, then you almost just taste tobacco, you just taste burn and smoke. And so this has more to it than that. And I truly, like, I was sitting there while you were talking, puffing it, trying to figure out what this note is. And I don't know what it is. Maybe it's like kind of herbal or something on the retrohale. It's not one that I think I've gotten on any cigar we've had on the show before. So
Hmm.
I don't know. Maybe it's because I haven't had much Connecticut in a long time, but there's something I can't put my finger on. And maybe it's that hay note that you're talking about, and I'm just not used to it. I don't really know.
It's almost like a little like oregano maybe.
That's where I was headed. Some type of like an herb like that.
Hmm.
Like, yeah. I was almost thinking dill, but I wonder if oregano is a little bit better
Yeah, I don't think dill.
because dill's so specific.
Yeah, I don't
Huh.
know, it's interesting.
The last
But
thing I'll say before I jump into the pairing is I'm excited to see, I'll sneak ahead. I'm excited to see how this goes with the Green River weeded bourbon that we're going to pair it with because it is also very approachable, but a lot of flavor. And so these are either going to be like just perfect for each other or they're going to be like two like magnets and just totally repel each other. I have no idea what's about to
yeah, and then you toss this tequila Cayeya Reposado in the middle.
happen.
I
Yeah.
mean, this is Uh, the bad news is, I think you did set us up for a very impossible ranking system here. We
Yeah,
could be.
that's
I
true.
mean, maybe we're wrong. Maybe it'll be very blatant, and we'll be like, "This was great, that was okay, and that was bad." Maybe it'll happen, but maybe they're so different that they were like apples, oranges, peaches.
Yeah. One can dream. One can dream that they'll be obvious.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. I mean, I think everybody out there doesn't want them to be obvious, but for us, it makes our job easier, guys. I mean,
hmm
this is a tough job. We're already smoking cigars and drinking some whiskey and stuff, like, and then we gotta rank them. Like, come on, like, make our life easy.
Yeah. Okay. I will say I was a little hesitant, wondering if the cream soda is going to do anything. I think it is. I think I'm seeing. I'm maybe I'm not right about the cream soda because who knows what's happening with the cream soda. But in the cigar, I think I'm seeing some changing. I think I'm feeling like this is an antagonistic pairing. I feel like there's something slightly less sweet and slightly less bold about the cigar, almost like the wood is amplified. Like the wood note to me is amplified. More like if you walk into a wood shop when somebody's cutting wood with a saw, like that type of a smell I'm getting on the retro hail after I drink the cream soda.
Yeah, I don't know if that's it that I'm getting. I'm trying to picture it. I think it's a combination between the wood and that mystery flavor that we were talking about.
Mm-hmm.
Um, that it's bringing out. It's yeah, trying to think like I.
Graham cracker, maybe?
It's really hard to describe because a lot of people haven't had it by itself. This this is what I'll tell you guys. Maybe this will just be more education than. Yeah, I agree with you. Um, it's exactly what a Connecticut wrapper tastes like by itself.
Oh,
So like
okay.
what
Whenever
is
you're
coming
just trying that.
yeah, like if you're smoking a fuma or purito or like whatever you want
Mm-hmm.
to call it, but that single strand of tobacco in that's a Connecticut whether it's Connecticut shade, uh, probably Connecticut shade is what's happening here. Like that is purely just Connecticut tobacco is what I'm tasting. I'm tasting just the wrapper. Like by itself, it eliminates whatever binder and filler are in this, and it's very easy, very light, subtle flavor notes, but almost just like peaceful. Like, is that a weird way to describe? Like, it's like ease. Like,
Mm-hmm.
like when you smoke a Connecticut by itself, you almost are like, that's almost like nothing with a hint of something, rather than something with a hint of nothing. Does that make sense?
Right.
It's
Yeah.
almost like I'm smoking nothing, but there was something in there. Like,
It's
that's what you
kind
get.
of it doesn't taste like it, but it's kind of like vanilla ice cream. Like it's like that same idea where it's like simple but good. What was the word you used? Like relaxed. It's like that.
Yeah, it's
It doesn't taste like vanilla. Don't get me wrong, but like that idea.
peaceful. Yeah,
Yeah, peaceful. Yeah. Now those fumas, that's what you try when you're blending, right? This is just from
correct.
my knowledge.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. When you're
Okay.
blending, you smoke. You typically start off with like the wrapper. So you try the Connecticut wrapper, and you're like, all right, I like this wrapper. Then you move on to the filler, or sorry, the binder, and you're like, okay, I'm gonna smoke a little bit of the wrapper. I'm gonna smoke a little bit of this binder. Ooh, that created a really weird flavor in my mouth. Don't like that. It's similar to this. Like it's really
Yeah.
just saying I liked these together, and then
Okay.
you actually put them together rather than us just saying I'm gonna have these two together. So very similar. And then like eventually, like if you go on our Onward Dreams page, um, like the Instagram page that it has by itself, not the Dreamer Cigars page, you can see pictures of me and DJ like smoking like four fumas at a time, and that's us having the wrapper, filler, wrapper, binder, filler, and another filler, and like trying to blend
Okay.
those cigars all at the same time. It's like trying to smoke four blunts at the same time. I mean, I've never smoked weed, but it looks like that for sure. I was a little worried Instagram was gonna be like, "Yep, taking that down."
It does, yeah. I see what you mean. Yeah, because they're like long and skinny and they look a little you beat up. That's
Yep,
funny.
yeah,
Yeah.
definitely looks like a blunt. But I feel like the cream soda is getting a little smoky though.
Ooh, okay. Hold on. Let me try again.
But yeah, you got to go cigar first. Yeah, and I feel like there's a little smoky vibe. I'm actually gonna go ahead and smoke the glass because I want to like really get it smoky. Like, what's a smoked cream soda taste like?
Mm-hmm. I could see that a little bit. It almost reminds me of I used to get it was I forget what the brand was, but it was caramel cream soda because usually cream soda is vanilla flavored. It
Hmm.
reminds me a little bit of that. Like it's making it seem like the sugars are a little bit more caramelized than they actually are, kind of deepening them a little bit.
Yeah.
So, for those of you who don't know or don't have the video, smoking the glass that Adam's talking about, we haven't talked about this in a while, is when you
Hmm.
take a puff of the cigar and you let the smoke go into your glass of whatever it is that you're drinking. You can do this with whiskey as well. And it really changes the character of whatever it is that you're drinking. Similar to just how if you smoke a cocktail with an actual cocktail smoker, it changes the character. Except this way, you're getting the cigar to mingle a bit more with the cream soda. So in this case, Adam's getting this GTO Corona mixed with the cream soda a little bit by smoking his cream soda using the cigar.
Yeah. It dulled the cream soda.
Did it?
That
Okay.
was weird. I didn't see that coming. I thought it was actually gonna be like genius and just flat. It was like the flavor was kind of gone. That was really weird. I
Which
was
is
like,
a fun lesson because it's not the same as pairing them. So like it gave you a different experience than pairing it did.
yeah, yeah, definitely. I will say that does happen for sure. Like if you smoke the glass, like sometimes it can alter it way more than just the pairing would. So
Yeah.
if you're really enjoying the pairing, it probably is going to help you enjoy the pairing even more.
Oh, okay, good to know. Speaking of pairings, let's jump to number two here because I am very excited. So, pairing number two we've got today is Green River's Wheated Bourbon. So, they come out with the Green River has a bourbon and they have wheated bourbon. So, this is the wheated version of it. And the reason I'm so excited, I mentioned it earlier. Wheated bourbons are usually very approachable, they're usually a little bit sweeter. And this cigar has kind of that same vibe. So I'm really excited to see how the two interact because they're both good examples of approachable but not boring. That's one of my favorite things about Green River's wheated bourbon is that it's not boring because sometimes wheated bourbons can seem a little bit boring. So I'm really interested to see how the two interact. Also, because this wheated bourbon is one that I definitely know the flavor profile of. I'm pretty acquainted with it, so I feel like hopefully it won't be too hard for me to see how it's changing.
Yeah, I mean, I I remember sorry. I remember this wheated bourbon. As you guys can see, I've had a good bit of this. Um, I will say for a wheated bourbon, as like it has a little bit more of a punch than your average wheated bourbon. I feel like initially though, like right off the bat, it has a little bit of a punch, but then it mellows. I mean, I know this is a whiskey thing too, which maybe I spoke too soon. Like we didn't have a whiskey already, so my palate is now fresh from the
Mm-hmm.
A&W. So maybe that was a little harsher because that was the first introduction of the whiskey to my palate. So maybe I did speak too soon, but I felt like I remembered that for some reason. Um, it having more complexity than I remembered, or more complexity than like your average wheated bourbon, but also some little hint of a punch. But maybe that's the whiskey noob in me.
Well, I do think so. For me, and this is hard for me to judge because I've been drinking whiskey for so long. For me, I feel like it doesn't have much of a punch normally,
Okay, never
but
mind.
I'll.
Yep, scratch it. It's gone.
Oh, okay,
Second
okay.
sip, it's gone. So
Have
I
you?
apologize for everybody out there.
Well, let me ask this though: have you puffed the cigar lately, or was that you just went and just
No.
took a? Okay, because the cigar also is magnifying it, so I think you got a
Hmm.
double whammy. The sweetness of the A&W and then the cigar both are definitely making this seem a little bit punchier. But yeah, I'll disagree with you on like a normal day just drinking it is usually pretty timid. Um so I think the spice of the bourbon's coming out a little bit. Haven't decided how I feel about that, but I have decided I like the way the cigar is tasting. I feel like
Yeah,
the cigar is bold now.
definitely. I just took my first puff, like as you were saying that, letting out the smoke, and like my eyes, I was like, whoa.
Mm-hmm.
Whoa, that's like it's like the cigar like woke up and brought it to a different level, but not like I think in a really good way. Like this is a great introductory pairing. Like you grab the GTO Corona Connecticut and you grab the Green River Wheated Bourbon for your first ever pairing, and you're going to have a good time. Like you're gonna. I think this is. It's not. I'm not saying it's anything revolutionary, but I think it's a great beginner pairing in terms of like you're gonna be smoking the cigar, and then you're gonna see the change,
Yeah.
and you're gonna see a little. You're gonna be drinking the bourbon, and you're gonna see a little bit of that change, the punchiness and the smokiness come out. Like I do think it's complementary. Would you agree with that?
Yes, I totally agree. I think both of them are changing, and I think it is still kind of peaceful, like we had said. So it really is a nice beginner pairing because it's not overwhelming in any direction. It's just like you can see that there's a change, but nothing's overwhelming your palate.
Yep, 100%. Yeah, I really think this is a great. It's interesting though. The the cigar, give it like without taking a sip for I mean even 30 seconds, go back to the cigar, it's back.
Mm-hmm.
Like the wheated bourbon doesn't survive super long, and I think that's an even bigger point to why it's a great beginner pairing because you're gonna see the changes in the timing of it and in the pairing of it. Like you're gonna be able to really experience like, whoa, this cigar just went back to how it was in the beginning. Then you're gonna take a sip and you're gonna be like, now it's back to the pairing cigar. Like it's really gonna adjust a lot in its character. So I think
Yeah.
that's the good news. I don't know how many like really good beginner pairings, like truly beginner pairings, I should say. Like obviously it depends on whose palate is what, and you come in from the
Mm-hmm.
cigar world, the whiskey world, or you're a beginner in both, like all that. But this is we're talking beginner in both,
Mm-hmm.
right? Yeah.
Yeah, and it is because it's tough to have interaction and actually see the pairing work with approachable things. So I think that's what makes this such a good beginner pairing because both of these are very approachable, but when you put them together, they do change, and so you do see it change. I think if I had to come up with a one downside for this pairing, it's that the Green River gets pretty simplistic. It becomes a little bit less complex. I get like the nice sweet sugar from it. I get a little bit of spice, but I don't get too much beyond that. There's not a lot of barrel influence coming through or caramel, cinnamon. I'm not getting those types of notes, but at least it's enjoyable and approachable, which I think is an upside.
Yeah, yeah. I think the it's gonna sound stupid, but I think it's really what's being elevated is the wheat. Like
That's not stupid. That's actually a good point. Yeah.
I think that's what it's yeah, all the other things I agree are dropping down and the wheat is really being elevated, but that's almost what makes it more approachable, especially if you maybe are coming from the new whiskey side and you know a little bit about cigars.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah, definitely agreed. All around, I mean, I can't complain about that. It's not an ultra, it's not mind blowing, but it is approachable and there's interaction. So I mean, I can't complain about that. That's actually really it's a really nice kind of relaxing pairing, I would say.
Hmm.
Like
Yeah,
just kind of sit
agreed.
back and enjoy what's going on with it. Now we're gonna take a hard left turn. And we're going to jump to a Reposado tequila. So our next pairing is Cayeya Tequila. This is their Reposado. This is a single barrel, it looks like. It's 40% alcohol by volume. I failed to mention that Green River Wheated is 90% alcohol or 45% alcohol by volume, 90 proof. Um, and this is batch L002, barrel number 65. In case I don't know how much their batches vary, so I always like to mention that because sometimes they do. And I've never even had a single sip of this. So I'm really excited to dig in. I'm going to rinse out with water first so that I can get an idea.
Yeah, I will say I've had this a good bit, and well, for one, it's worth mentioning that we're also like kind of full spectrum on in terms of a cost here. I think this is one of the
True.
first pairing episodes that we've had where we're talking about three decently broad terms of like money and spend. Like obviously getting an A&W cream soda is like $2.
Mm-hmm.
So like that's easy. And then you take a step up to Green River. Green River is probably what, like 30?
Yeah, between 30 and 35, I think, depending on your area.
Okay. and then this, if I'm not mistaken, is like 100 or like
Mm.
80 to 100. It's on the high end. So we're taking a not only a scale through. It's just such a complex pairing. Like we got non-alcoholic, we got whiskey, we got tequila, we got cheap, mid like good price, and we got high end. We've got all sorts of stuff going on. So
We really
yeah,
do. Let me just say, dude, from a guy who doesn't drink tequila often perspective, okay, I'm not good enough with tequila to tell you what parts of the flavor wheel we're hitting. This tastes nice. I'll tell you that much. This has flavor to it. Usually the tequilas, especially at the 40% for me, it's a little hard. And especially we haven't had anything super high proof on this episode. That probably helps. But it's a little bit difficult for me because I drink so much higher proof stuff and it's such a different flavor. This has got flavor to it though, like a fair amount of flavor to it. I'm getting some minerality. I'm getting the agave sweetness, and then I'm getting a zing of like citrus peel or something kind of like that, maybe like a little bit like a sour candy, like a zing that doesn't hurt, but it gets your jaws tingly.
I
Um,
think it's almost like biting into an orange peel.
oh yeah, yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
It's not the juicy orange, not orange juice, but like that bitterness with that strong citrus flavor.
yeah. People are probably like, ugh, biting into an orange peel, but like in the good way. I don't know. It's like if you've ever like taken a small bite of an orange peel after you had it in old fashioned. Like
Mm-hmm.
it's more like that. Like I like eating the orange peel after an old fashioned. I think it tastes great. Like I I don't know. Like
You
that's
eat
just
the whole
me.
thing?
Yeah.
Wow. I have a buddy who does that with lemon wedges. He just eats the whole lemon wedge out of his
Oh,
water.
I do that too. Yeah.
Do you?
Well,
There you
so
go.
this is a little background. Like, so I used to bartend a lot in college, and when I was a bartender, like, I got super. I drank so much Red Bull at this one place, and then the other place didn't give me free Red Bull as a bartender, and I was like, crap, how am I gonna stay alive? And then this ex Navy SEAL bouncer, like we were in one of the most popular bars in downtown Cincinnati. It was not in a good part either, and it was just crazy. Like you got patted down at the door. It was nuts. But like he was like, just eat this. And I'm like, dude, I'm not eating the whole thing. He's like, like I was like, all right, whatever. It's like a shot. It's like boom, like you're a wide awake after you eat that orange peel. So like it
What?
really helps you wake up. Yeah, if you're like just sleepy. I mean, it's just a shock to your system. Is really it's not long lasting like a Red Bull would be or a coffee or anything like I don't think it's
Okay.
a good replacement, but I mean, if you're just like in a little lull and then like sometimes like in the morning like you don't really need a full cup of coffee. Sometimes you may just need a little like zap and you're
Mm-hmm.
then you're gonna get into your work and you're gonna be distracted and you're gonna be fine. It's kind of like that. Like
It sounds like what I imagine smelling salts are like. I really want to try those sometime for working out, and I never have.
yeah,
But it
I
sounds
have
like
never
that.
yeah I've never tried one of those. I knew a couple people that did it when I was playing college football, but I was like, I don't know, I'm good.
Yeah.
I feel like I just see the people that do it like too much and they're like, oh, like
Mm-hmm.
you see those. I'm like, I don't I don't want to accidentally like do it and then like the whole game I'm like messed up and I can't see out of my right eye because my like nasal passage is fucked up.
Yeah. My thing with lifting is like I could see myself getting so hyped up from it, I just pull a muscle. Like I go to deadlift and just blow my back. Like I could see that happening for sure. So that's why I haven't done it yet. I'm like, I don't know about
Yeah,
that.
fair
All
enough.
right. I don't know how much you've got to try this pairing, but dude, I have some opinions about this.
Yeah, go right ahead.
So I haven't fully figured out the cigar yet. I think it's changing. I think it's a little bit more subtle. The tequila, though, I have a pretty specific opinion about as a whiskey drinker. I feel like the tequila, it's a reposado, but I think the oak comes through a little bit more. The minerality and the agave are cut back a tiny bit. And so you see a little bit more of that wood influence and that wood character. So far, I'm not seeing too much change in the GTO Corona Connecticut, but I am seeing some change in this Cayeya Tequila where the oak seems to be cranked up a little bit.
Yeah, I can see that. I think the cigar is throwing me off more than anything.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I I almost think, and this is a weird way to describe it, but it's the only way I don't know if it's because of the pairing lineup we have. I feel like it's scrambling my palate.
Mm-hmm.
Like I feel like there's a lot of things going on and then it's nothing. Like
Yeah.
it's I don't know how to describe it better than like I feel like it's just scrambling my palate and then my palate's like I have no idea what we're getting.
That's very possible. That's why I don't know if you happen to have some water on you. I love to really swish out with some water
Yeah,
between.
I need to. I don't. I need to. I'm gonna try and rinse out with the cream soda and see what happens.
That might help. Yeah. Yeah, I feel like there's something very obvious happening to the tequila, and there might be more than just that oak that I mentioned. This past time that I went through it, I was getting a little bit more of a dark fruit. So, like, there's some stuff happening with the tequila. I haven't decided if anything's going on with the cigar yet. I feel like it might be an antagonistic pairing because I haven't. I maybe it's because I also don't know the cigar well enough, but I haven't nailed down a specific change with
I think it's antagonistic, if anything. I went back and it definitely hit a little reset, but I still think that scramble is probably because I know the cigar and I'm searching for something, and like I think it's dulling almost the cigar just a tad, where it's getting rid of some of those uh, like complexities that we were talking about in the beginning.
it. Mm-hmm.
It's like harshing, not harsh, making them harsh, but like keeping them. I don't know how to say it. Like really making them like subtle and so
Mm-hmm.
subtle that you're not even really seeing it, and it's almost like back to like almost smoking nothing, um, with like a hint of spice, but that's because just from the alcohol I think that you're having on the other side, from the tequila.
Yeah, I could agree with that for sure. I could see almost that whatever note the cream soda brought out, it's kind of less now. It's like less than the baseline, I mean. Like it's
Yeah.
kind of hidden a little bit. I think it's because this tequila has so much body. Like I that's one of the things I was praising about it. I like how much body it has, but I think it's almost too much for this cigar in this case. Once again, I can't repeat this enough. I've even said it on my Instagram reels, so people are probably sick of hearing it by now. But you can't always assume that the strengths are going to work the way you think, where a strong tequila is going to put out or make a mellow cigar not taste at all, because sometimes you can taste the cigar even more. It's counterintuitive. But in this case, I think that's what's happening. This tequila has so much body, the cigar almost loses a little bit of its body.
Yeah. So if you're a fan of the tequila Cayeya Reposado, just like I am, maybe maybe try it with something heavier, as far as the cigar side, and let us know in the Discord, how that went, because I'd be super intrigued to know. I may even go off on my own and toss it in the Discord, here in the next week or so and have this, um, as it's going, as we launch this as the cigar of the week, and put my own opinion in there as well,
Mm-hmm.
because I know, like, yeah, it's a complex tequila. It's delicious. It's like I'm a huge fan of this one. And sneak peek, guys, we do have the añejo as well, from Cayeya Tequila. So I'm very excited to have that one. And that one, I feel like now we know we're gonna have to, place that one with something that's probably got a kick, because if the Reposado is doing this, the añejo is gonna do something a little extra. Um,
Mm-hmm.
Now, when you look at this lineup, man, I think unfortunately I was exactly right. Like I almost don't even. It is apples, oranges, and peaches almost. Like
For sure.
I don't know where to, how to. it's, it's like, oh boy, like where?
I'm just
I
gonna
mean,
try to look at overall experience, I think, because this is like a really, really tough one. And then like you mentioned, we're in so many different price ranges. You almost kind of want to factor that in. Like that cream soda did so much, and it's $2 or whatever it costs to get
yeah.
a cream soda. Like you kind of want to factor that in too. Um, but I'm running back through them here, trying to just go with overall experience. And I'll give
Hmm.
you a second to do your tasting while I talk through what I'm thinking so far. And this is not in any order of importance because I don't know which way I'm going to rank them yet. So, unfortunately, the bourbon and the tequila are opposites for me. I love the way the cigar tastes with the bourbon. I don't like so much the way the bourbon tastes with the cigar because I love that bourbon so much that when it loses a little bit of the body that I like, I'm a little sad to see that go. I love the way the tequila tastes, and it kind of makes the cigar taste not quite as good. So then I'm like, okay, so the cigar's not tasting as good, but the tequila's still tasting really good. And with the cigar, it almost gets amplified where it tastes a little bit oakier and a little bit older, I would say. And then straight out of left field, we've got cream soda,
Yeah.
and I have no idea where to put that, but it makes the cigar taste super specific, and the cream soda still holds its sweetness. And if you're gonna say cream soda has body, whatever that would mean, it holds that. It holds its flavors. It keeps its kind of integrity there, which is really impressive for cream soda as a pairing. I can't even believe that right now. So no idea where to go with the rankings for that, but that's what I'm thinking.
Yeah, that's why like I'm sitting here, I'm like trying to just individually judge these and just rate like what's my rating of this, and then that's what'll determine the rankings. Like
Mm-hmm.
sometimes it's easier to be like, all right, this is one, two, three, and then be like, okay, that'll help me narrow in on my rating, because obviously you've only got so much to play within those. Um, at least that's the way I approach it. Obviously, all of you out there, like you got a card for this specific cigar that now that you get to do the same thing by yourself, put that on the back of the card, put it in a little Rolodex, whatever you want. But you have that card to compare some tasting notes, the rating of the pairing, and be able to judge, something as well, just like we do. Um, and you'll have your own little spin on how to tell yourself, because that's really what you want to do. You want to tell yourself, I liked this, and then set it like we
Mm-hmm.
said, a little Rolodex or something, like to where you can go back to it and be like, boom, here we go. Like I see it now.
Yep.
So
Ooh, this is tough.
this is really tough. I'll go ahead through my rankings if you
Okay.
uh, if you need a little bit more time. I've got the cream soda at number one.
Mm-hmm.
I've got the uh, Green River Weeded Bourbon at number two, and I've got the Tequila Reposado, Tequila Cayeya Reposado at number three.
Straight, exactly what I had. I was in between the Green River and the cream soda while you were talking, and then I had a little bit of a thought about it, and so then it changed my rating, and so then it changed my ranking. So that's exactly where I was headed to. Yeah, so same thing. Cream soda number one, Green River, and then tequila, the Cayeya Reposado. And I have a thought about the cream soda. I actually bumped up my rating last minute, and here's why. Because we say with our ratings, I think in the past before we've said if it's above an 8, it is a try this, like try it, go ahead and do it. And with cream soda, you've got so little to lose that I had to put it over an 8 because I'm like, yeah, just try it. Go get a 2 liter for $4 and try it.
It's
So
true.
I put the cream soda at an 8.1 because I was like, try it. Absolutely.
That's fair. For me, with the GTO Corona Connecticut, I had the A&W Cream Soda at an 8. So I had that before you even said that. It was the same thing. I was like, it was almost like this has got to be a 7.5 because it feels like this is a 3 out of 4.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's kind of like I was like, this is like kind of a 3 out of 4. But then it does bump up a little bit. And if you love cream soda, where like I could see like if you love cream soda so much, like this pairing is gonna do that. And like I'm not a super like sugary guy, so this would like
Mm-hmm.
overwhelm me after a little while. I'd be like, okay, that's a little too much sugar. Like I wouldn't be able to drink like this whole thing with the cigar. I'd be like, okay, I need some whiskey or something like or some tequila. Um,
Right.
and that's where like this is interesting because even that tequila over time, I would probably choose over the cream soda. So it's so hard, but again, price points like very, very difficult, but I've got that. I'll go ahead and jump to the Green River Weeded Bourbon.
Okay.
I had a 7.3 on that. I think, and I'm gonna say this as a general for this entire podcast, and I feel terrible actually. I'm like finding myself like staring at him like, dang, like I feel like we didn't hit, like sometimes we hit them off, and this was one where we didn't hit any home runs. Like we didn't hit
Mm-hmm.
any great ones. But guys, this is why we need your help with the Discord. We can't have 10 pairings every week, otherwise we'll
Yeah.
be. You guys won't even believe us by the end because I'll have my pants off running around the room because I'll
Yeah.
have had 10 bourbons. Like that's not
Yeah.
gonna happen. So like we need your help too to build these pairings, to build these recommendations. Um, but yes, going back to why I put it at 7.3, I was just, it was fine. It was
Hmm.
fine. The GTO Corona Connecticut was good, and the weeded bourbon was good. Like there was nothing to write home about. Would I say try it? Sure, but would
Hmm.
I recommend a lot? I'm almost like another like rule that we've unwritten rule that we've set is like leave room, right? And I'm trying to
Hmm.
leave. This is kind of where I'm at. Like this is a great cigar. There and
Right.
it's difficult to pair Connecticut's, which I'll say as well. So like, there's gonna be a lot of things that overwhelm this cigar because it's so approachable and light. But there's so much more room for improvement in what we saw today.
Yep, I'm right there with you. I put 7.6 for that same reason. So I'm just point 0.3 above you, where I felt the same way. I felt like if somebody handed it to me, I would not be upset by it. It's good. I think there's a special bump up if you're a beginner and other pairings are too harsh for you, where maybe you give this a whole bonus point and put it into the eights, because it's
Sure.
like when you're a beginner, it's hard to find stuff that's going to be approachable for you. But if you've been experienced with your pairings, if you've been following the Perfect Pairing Club and you've been subscribed from the beginning, you've had enough pairings by now where you probably don't need that. And so I'm kind of trying to rate it for you guys. And I think for you guys, this is definitely just that. This is good. It's nothing insane. It's nothing like crazy. So I put it at a 7.6. And then moving on to the tequila, I put that just below it at a 7.5. And I think this is going to be a theme for tequilas until I try more of them, is I keep being impressed by how they taste because I don't drink a lot of nice tequilas. So as we get these good tequilas, I keep bumping up the ratings. I'm like, this is really good. But I put it at 7.5 because I was like, same kind of a story. I wasn't a fan of the way the cigar tasted with it. I really liked the way the tequila tasted with it, but it just wasn't anything where I was like, yes, absolutely go try this.
I've got it sitting at a 7 because I think the tequila Cayeya is great. Like if I was rating that alone, I'd be like, okay, here's a 8.7. But with this cigar, it over time, I kind of left the other two alone. I had a little bit of cream soda here at the end because I wanted to enjoy it, and then I went back. And as we've been going through these ratings, I've been having the tequila and the cigar again, and I'm like, it does build. It builds, and they
Mm-hmm.
morph more and more and more, and they come together, and it they play more the more you get into it, which is something that we don't talk about probably enough. Like we can't also drink, a whole glass of tequila and smoke the whole cigar. So there's a lot of play that we don't see here. But yeah, so I gave it a 7. I was originally like, man, this might be a 6, and I was like, no way. Like I thought this was gonna be great, and it does have more play than I thought. But I still think it's overwhelming the cigar a little bit too much.
Yep, I totally agree. And I think I actually just came up with this. So for those listening, I didn't run this by Adam before the episode. But I'm wondering if, especially on episodes like this, we need to say, just from a gut feel, what you would try next, especially for the ones where we
Mm.
didn't get anything super good. So, based on the pairings we've had so far with this GTO Corona Connecticut, I'm feeling like we didn't get something that was right in that range of having nice sweetness and really full body. So I'm wondering if like a French oaked bourbon would work, or maybe a coffee with some cream that's a little bit lighter but still pretty bold.
I've got two
Okay.
specifically. Um, Dead Rabbit
Oh, that's a good one. Yeah.
and Tequila Ocho.
Another good one. Okay. Because it wouldn't have on the
Let's just do
StreamYard we
balloons
just
for.
sent balloons. Cool. I don't even know how that just happened. But
That's funny.
the StreamYard has little built-in things that it does if you make gestures on the screen, and we haven't learned how it works at all yet. No, that's a great question though, because the tequila ocho, you're talking about the blanco, like not aged at
Yeah,
all.
correct.
Yeah, I'd be interested to see how a blanco does with that. That's a good point.
Yeah, just
Yeah.
seeing the Reposado was like, I feel like it was close. Like I feel like it was close, but it was just too much for the cigar, and that's why it was the scramble. It wasn't like
Hmm.
Like neither of us went, "Oh my god, I don't taste the cigar."
Right.
It didn't get steamrolled. It just got, like bumped to the side of the road a little bit and then didn't know where it was. Like,
Yeah. Yep.
it wasn't flattened. Um,
Totally. That's a really good way to look at it there. I didn't think about blancos because I'm thinking añejo because it started to taste more oaky. So if you took away that oak completely, I'd be interested to see. Now, before we jump to our huddle, because I feel like I was getting there a little bit with starting to just talk about the whole episode here, which by the way, we do for the Perfect Pairing Club members. We always, after we hang up recording, we would always just talk to each other about how we thought the episode went. We're like, hey, we should, record this. So if you're in the Perfect Pairing Club, you get to hear that. But before we do it, we need to know the answer to this trivia question.
so, what is a draw enhancer? That was the trivia question. Well, crazy enough, I have one of these Chinese lighters that actually has one in it. And if you don't know what it is, you're probably even more confused, which was the goal. So I'm going to do a little Swiss Army knife here. This is not it. That's a little cigar rest. Here is a draw enhancer. If I can get it out. There it is. Here is a draw enhancer. I'll do it for the side camera here. It's hard to see. They are skinny, but you can see it has some ridges to it, and it has a very, very sharp point. What you use this for is if, unlike today, where it was a great draw and a great burn and a good cigar, if you have a terrible draw on a cigar, it's like the number one thing that's going to ruin your cigar experience because no matter you're going to have the greatest flavored cigar of all time, like you love the flavor, you love the taste, but if it's a bad draw, it's going to be like drinking a milkshake through a paper straw, and it's nearly impossible, and it's going to be a horrible experience. Draw enhancer fixes that. What you do is you stick it right down the middle of the cigar, and then you pull it right back out. And you can see in this cigar, it brought up just a little bit of tobacco that will commonly happen. And that's opening up the draw to where now this one may even be too strong. So you don't want to like make it a habit of, oh, wow, well, I never want a bad draw. So I'm always going to poke my cigar. Well, then too good of a draw, you're going to get way too much smoke in, and you're probably going to get a headache. If the draw is too loose, that happens still with me. If the draw is too loose, I always actually try and puff a little less because
Mm-hmm.
it's going to be too much smoke and you're not going to blow it all out actually, and a little bit's going to get into your system and it's going to give you a little bit of a headache. So that's what a draw enhancer is. They are extremely useful, especially like you talk about saving your investments. Like this thing will be worth its weight in gold because if you're a guy who doesn't buy cigars very often, buy one of these for like I think you can get them online for like $10, $20. I know we sell them on our site for Dreamer Cigars, but I don't know what it's how much it costs.
Mm-hmm.
But you get the draw enhancer. It is just a single draw enhancer, not in a lighter. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
but then those cigars that you're buying for $12 don't go to waste if it has a bad draw. Like you didn't just throw away $12. That's this thing will save you after it saves two cigars. This thing will be cost effective, worth its money.
Yeah. And for those that are just listening on the audio version, it almost looks just like a thicker metal toothpick. But as Adam kind of mentioned, there's more going on. There's like
Yeah.
some ridges and things in it that help pull out the tobacco, that help kind of and push it out of the way as well. So, yeah, very helpful. And the reason I knew what it was is because I do own one for that reason. If you get, especially if you get an expensive cigar, because it even happens with those sometimes, it's just ruined. If it has a bad draw, you can't taste anything. And if you've had it before, you know exactly what we're talking about. So,
Yeah.
yeah, they're really helpful.
Very, very, very helpful. Last thing I want to mention before we hop off today, if you did stay this long, you're probably a part of the Perfect Pairing Club already. But if you're not, we do send out these Cigar of the Weeks in a monthly subscription pack, Perfect Pairing Club. It's only $29.99 and you save 10% using the code PPP10. And now, if you sign up for the Perfect Pairing Club, you get a special gift. You get two customized cigars. Yes, they will say your last name on it and your initials and say Perfect Pairing Club member. So you get those two custom cigars and you get a brand new, we don't have them right in front of us just yet, but you get a brand new Perfect Pairing Club member. It's not a Glencairn. I'm the
I,
whiskey noob.
I think it's a Kenzie glass, technically the
Kenzie
Kenzie
glass.
Dram, I believe.
Yeah, it's a dram. It looks pretty much just like any old Glencairn guys. It's just a little different because we're unique.
Yep, and a lot of you who are into whiskey, you'll know it when you see it. It's that like kind of almost sharper Glencairn because it's got like the sharp edge on it instead, and still made for nosing. Still has that tulip shape. They all work pretty close to the same, if I'm being honest. And these ones are going to look pretty sweet because they're going to be customized. So, though I'm really excited about it because I don't even have my own yet, as Adam said, and we're going to be getting them, and I can't wait.
Yeah. We are very excited. But you guys get that for free. There's no extra cost. If you sign up, you get those today. So go sign up for the Perfect Pairing Club. We are doing this probably for a limited amount of time. We don't know yet exactly how much money we're willing to just give away to you guys. I mean, it may be easier to just put a $20 bill in there for you guys, but we're giving you a. Wouldn't that be interesting? Let's put just $20 bill and see if you sign up.
Yeah,
That looks a little too desperate. No, you
yeah.
guys get the glass, two custom cigars that have your last name on it and your initials. Yeah, so go sign up and we'll see you guys on the next one. Chris, this was a good episode.
Good one, man. Cheers.
Cheers.